Hello library families! Miss Laura here from the Innisfil ID Lab and Library. Thanks for joining me for another story time. Let's start with a fun clapping hello song. We're going to clap our hands, then clap our knees. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say hello as quiet as we can. Hello. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say hello as loud as we can. Hello! Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say hello as slow as we can. Hello. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say hello as fast as we can. Hello. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say hello as nicely as we can. Hello, my friends. I miss you all. So the story I'd like to share with you today is by one of my favorite children's authors, Julia Donaldson, and illustrated by Axel Scheffler. It's The Snail and the Whale. I love Julia Donaldson's books. They're so much fun to read. Let me know if you know any of her other books. This is a tale of a tiny snail and a great big gray blue humpback whale. This is a rock as black as soot, and this is a snail with an itchy foot. The sea snail slithered all over the rock and gazed at the sea and the ships in the dock. And as she gazed, she sniffed and sighed. The sea is deep and the world is wide. How I long to sail, said the tiny snail. These are the other snails in their flock, who all stuck tight to the smooth black rock, and said to the snail with the itchy foot, "Be quiet, don't wriggle, stay still, stay put." But the tiny sea snail sighed and sniffed, then cried, "I've got it, I'll hitch a lift." This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trail that looped and curled, and said, "Lift wanted around the world." Who saw the message? This is the whale who came one night when the tide was high and the stars were bright, a humpback whale immensely long, who sang to the snail a wonderful song of shimmering ice and coral caves and shooting stars and enormous waves. And this is the tale of the humpback whale. He held it out to the starlit sea and said to the snail, "Come sail with me." Would any of you like to go sailing with a whale? What did they find? Some friends. This is the sea so wild and free that carried the whale and the snail on his tail to towering icebergs and far-off lands. There's some penguins that live there, some seals. With fiery mountains and golden sands. Any of you visited a place that looks like this? The monkey? These are the waves that arched and crashed, that foamed and frolicked and sprayed and splashed, the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. And these are the caves beneath the waves, where stripy fish with feathery fins and sharks with hideous toothy grins swam round the whale and the snail on his tail. This is the sky so vast and high, sometimes sunny and blue and warm, but sometimes filled with a thunderstorm, with zigzag lightning flashing and frightening the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. That one's a bit scary, isn't it? But they're safe. As she gazed at the sky, the sea and the land, the waves and the caves and the golden sand, she gazed and gazed, amazed by it all, and she said to the whale, "I feel so small." But then came the day the whale lost his way. These are the speedboats running a race, zigging and zooming all over the place, upsetting the whale with their ear-splitting roar, making him swim too close to the shore. No. This is the tide slipping away, and this is the whale lying beached in a bay. Quick, off the sand, back to sea, cried the snail. I can't move on land, I'm too big, moaned the whale. The snail felt helpless and terribly small. Then, I've got it, she cried, and started to crawl. I must not fail, said the tiny snail. Poor whale. What do you think the snail's going to do to help? Well, this is the bell on the school in the bay, ringing the children in from their play. This is the teacher, holding her chalk, telling the class, sit straight, don't talk. This is the board as black as soot, and this is the snail with an itchy foot. A snail, a snail, the teacher turns pale. Look, said the children, it's leaving a trail. This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trail saying, can you read what that says? Save the whale. These are the children running from school, fetching the firemen, digging a pool, squirting and spraying to keep the whale cool. Now this is the tide coming into the bay, and these are the villagers shouting hooray as the whale and the snail travel safely away. Look, they help save the whale. Back to the dock and the flock on the rock, who said, how time's flown, and haven't you grown? And the whale and the snail told a wonderful tale of shimmering ice in coral caves, and shooting stars in enormous waves, and how the snail, so small and frail, with her looping, curling, silvery tail, saved the life of the humpback whale. Then the humpback whale held out his tail, and on crawled snail after snail after snail. And they sang to the sea as they all set sail on the tail of the gray-blue humpback whale. Where do you think all the snails are going to go travel with their new whale friend? Today for a craft, would you like to draw a picture or create something about somewhere you'd like to travel? It could be any of the places that the whale and the snail visited in the book, or somewhere else that you've made up too. I'd love for you to share your craft with us at the library, and I hope to see you all soon. Take care.